Boop-a-doo-ba-doo, boop-a-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Yo, yo, yiggity. Yo, what's up? Warning. The following program is recorded live and is not intended for children. This program may contain dark and graphic content that may be distressing for some viewers and against the terms of service for some platforms. The themes and opinions expressed in this program should be considered entirely fictional and should not be used for political or academic purposes. Facts are not checked, and no sources or citations will be provided. Should you choose to redistribute this broadcast in part or in whole, please do so at your own risk and only in good faith. Thank you again for joining. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. Meow. Actually, let me remove this. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Rainbows and Razor Blades, a show from the void. By the Gregorian calendar, it is currently the 25th day in the 7th month, the month of July in the age of the cyborg, 2024. On today's episode, I'm going to be taking a look at the red cards from the upcoming Magic the Gathering set Bloomburrow and giving some of my opinions. Whether they're good or not, I don't know. Thanks for joining. We'll be right back after this. If you want to sponsor me, you can go on my Patreon, which is actually now a thing, and you can donate me some money. That's really about it. Hit the transition button. Transition. My favorite button. All right. So we left off last time in red, so let's scroll down to red. Boop-a-doop-a-doo, boop-a-doop-a-doo, boop-a-doo. Where is red? Yeah, we got through all these. They were all pretty good. So far, white has been my favorite, which is not usual. I'm not usually a big fan of white. All right, anyway, here we go. Blooming Blast. 2-drop, gift a treasure. What's a treasure do? It's an artifact that says sack an artifact, add 1 mana of any color. That's pretty good. It's like you don't really want to give your opponent that. That's the thing. And then it says it deals 2 damage to a creature, but if it was paid, then it also deals 3 to them. So you ramp them, but they take 3 damage, and it's an instant removal spell. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. All right, Blacksmith's Talent. Let's see what this one does. So when it enters, create a colorless equipment artifact token named Sword. With equipped creature gets +1/+1 and equip 2. I see, so it creates a sword. Alright, at the beginning of your combat step, each target equipment you control up to 1 target creature you control. Wait, what? I missed something. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, each target equipment you control attach. Okay, sorry, I'm just very dyslexic. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach target equipment you control to up to 1 target creature you control. That actually is pretty good. Like if you're running like an equipment deck, that actually is pretty good. During your turn, equipped creatures you control have double strike and haste. But the thing is you're paying so much for that. It's not a bad card. It's just like you wouldn't really base a deck around this. And any deck that you put this in, you're better off just running like Sword of Fire and Ice if it's modern, or like any other sword, or just another equipment. I would think like if you're playing that one set that was like very based on like equipments. What's this one do? Artist's Talent. That's cute that that's like a back-to-back, like a Blacksmith's Talent and an Artist's Talent. So this one says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. And that's a static board effect. That's actually really, really overpowered. For red, that's incredible. Oh, it's a rare card. Okay. And then it powers up to non-creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Jeez, man. And then it says if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. This card's just overall robust and good. It does what red wants it to do. It ramps and it speeds you up and it gets you card advantage. Red started getting that draw and discard effect quite a while ago. I think it was back in like Innistrad. Brambleguard Captain. Mouse Soldier. Kind of like that. I like that the mice are in all the colors so far. At the beginning, well, actually the black had rats. At the beginning of combat, and did blue have any mice? I feel like it did, but I'm not remembering. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, target creature you control gets +X+0, where X is its power. Yeah, we've seen this card before. And then it says, we sought adventure and found calamity. Forward, so we may meet both with courage. Okay. Brazen Collector. I like that it's a raccoon. It has first strike. Whenever Brazen Collector attacks, add red. Until the end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. Risk taken to retrieve a prize only increase its value. I don't know. I don't know. I just like wouldn't build around it, and I also really wouldn't draft it, I guess. Byway Barterer. I like that name. Okay, this is a rare card, so this should be kind of cool. Menace. So it's already a 3/3 for 3, which is not terrible with Menace. And then it says, whenever you expend 4, I have no idea what that means. I don't know what expend is. You may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. You may expend 4 as you spend your 4th total mana to cast spells during a turn. Okay. So this is actually really, really good circumstantially. Like if you're playing like a Madness deck and you're like, oh man, I've only got this 1 card left, and then when you spend your 4th total mana to cast spells during a turn. So it isn't just, you can't just arbitrarily tap it. Can you? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if it's when you try to actually cast the spell, because it says your 4th total mana to cast spells during a turn, not just floating the mana, so to speak. So you actually have to be playing cards. So you can't just have nothing in your hand and tap 4 to draw 2. So it's not great. It is circumstantial. I think I'm interpreting that correctly. I'm not really sure. I love that we have raccoons, by the way, in red. Like raccoons. Like I didn't think that we'd have those, but now we do. Ooh, a bird dragon. Okay. So it's a 5-drop for a 5/5 flying. That's kind of good. Oh, it's a mythic. Okay, so here we go. Whenever Dragonhawk... I like how it cuts off the last part, the Fate's Tempest. It just says, whenever Dragonhawk. I like that. Whenever Dragonhawk enters or attacks, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 4 or greater. You may play those cards until your next end step. At the beginning of your next end step, Dragonhawk deals 2 damage to each opponent for each of those cards that are still exiled. I mean, it's good. I see why it's printed at Mythic. I'm just not that excited by it. Like, I lived through Naya. I played Naya. And the thing is for mono red, this is pretty good because power 4 or greater is not uncommon, because you can have like even like 2 drops with like a 4/1 power, you know what I mean? So like it is good, and it does give you significant card advantage, but it doesn't have haste, and you're paying 5 for it for only a 5/5 flyer, which in red is good, but I just don't know if it's just like not like amazing, you know? And it doesn't seem like set defying, I guess. What's this one? Coruscation Mage. All right. It's an otter wizard with offspring. And then it says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. It's just not that good. I mean, it's like funny though, because you can pay like 3 and 1 of anything, or you can pay 3 of anything and 1 red to create 2 of these, and then play 2 spells and they take 4, I guess. I mean, it definitely is. I don't know. I'd rather just pay 2. I'd rather just run Lightning Bolt, you know? I don't know. Conduct Electricity. Conduct Electricity deals 6 damage to target creature and 2 damage up to 1 target creature token. I like this, but not at 5. Like double removal at 5. I'm looking at Volcanic Fallout. You know what I mean? And that's a 3-drop. So like at 5, you know, to be fair, it's instant speed, and it's printed at common. So like it is power curved correctly. So like in a limited draft format, this would be probably pretty good removal, but like other than that, it's kind of trash. Give me a lightning rod, something I can use as a channel. Ral called above the mayhem. Nodding, Phineas drew a copper leaf arrow from his emptying quiver and shot. That's kind of cool, actually. It's good imagery. Anyway, Ember Heart Challenger. Haste. Mouse Warrior. Prowess. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+1 till the end. And then it says Valiant. This is a bunch of keywords. Whenever this dude becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, exile the top card of your library. Until the next turn, you may play that card. We're seeing a lot of this with red, and I think that it's supposed to probably maybe combo with blue, but so far I haven't seen any red spells that make me want to be like, ooh, let's cast this. Like, I'm not really impressed with this card at all. Like, it does have haste for 2/2 that benefits, because it's the type of thing where, like, if you're on turn 5 and you draw into this thing, it isn't total crap. And if you're playing it on turn 2, then at least you're keeping pace, and next turn, hopefully it will swing for 3. I just like don't think it's that great. I don't know. It's cool. Festival of Embers. Okay, it's an enchantment. So during your turn, you may cast instant and sorcery spells from your graveyard by paying 1 life in addition to their other costs. What? Oh, okay, that's good. And then it exiles it afterwards. And then you can sacrifice this enchantment. What? Why does it sacrifice itself? During your turn, you may cast instant and sorcery spells from your graveyard by paying 1 life in addition to their other costs. So it basically gets flashback. Plus 1 life. If a card or token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. That's why you have to sacrifice it to save it so it doesn't exile itself when it leaves. Is that right? This is a pretty good card. Like, it's printed at 5, so it is like, it's not like a meta-defining, like, 3 curve. Like, if this was like 2 of anything, 1 red, it would be busted. But as a 5 drop, it's a pretty solid hate card for a sideboard, I guess. I mean, you could build around this card. You could build around this card. Especially if you're playing like a hybrid, like green-red deck, I think. You could put that in like a huge, like, spell casting deck. I don't know. Flame Cash Gecko. I like that it's a gecko. When Flame Cash Gecko enters, if an opponent lost life this turn, you get 2 mana. Interesting. And then you discard a card and draw a card for 2. That's not terrible for 2. Wood holds a flame for only so long before it crumbles into ash, but stone can burn forever. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. Heartfire Hero. I like the artwork a lot. Valiant. Whenever Heartfelt Hero becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So, not prowess, because it has to target it. Whenever it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the fact that you can target it with an ability you control, like tap to give it flying. Oh, and it gets +1/+1. Like, I don't know. It just isn't good. It's not, I mean, it's a 1-drop, so. It just, like, red needs 1-drops. Harnesser of Storms. Look at this thing. It's an otter wizard. I wish this thing was printed at Mythic and was like a planeswalker. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell or otter spell, that's kind of interesting, you may exile the top card of your library. Until the end of turn, you may play that card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So, like, red is really going in on this ability of, like, exile but can cast. I just don't think it's that good. Like, it's like, it is card advantage. I understand that. But, like, it just isn't as good as card draw. I mean, unless it is, and there's, like, some mechanic that I'm missing. Because the thing is it's saying exile, but you're also playing in a set that, like, kind of explicitly so far has been, like, pseudo-dredge, self-mill type of effects, flashback effects, and enters the battlefield effects. So, like, I just don't see this synergizing very well. Like, red just seems kind of out of place so far. Am I missing something? Frilled Spark Shooter. The artwork is incredible. Look at this thing. It's like that. It's like from the original Tyrannosaurus movie, Jurassic Park. It's like that dude. It's like the one that eats that dude. Anyway, Menace and Reach. It's interesting that it's getting Reach. It needs it. I mean, red needs Reach. Does red commonly get Reach? I mean, I guess it can. I've heard of it. I don't know. I don't think it's very common. Frilled Spark Shooter enters with a +1/+1 counter on it if an opponent lost life this turn. Which, as we've seen, it's supposed to hybridize with black, because we had that other card that was aligned with black that added mana. It frills keep it steady, or its frills keep it steady, making its aim impeccable. That's good flavor text, at least. I don't know. I'm not very impressed with that. It's a common, so, like, I don't know. Oh, here's a rare card. 2 and 1 red for a 2/3 with haste. Okay, this better do something good, like make me have an extra attack step or steal their creature. It says whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, it deals 2 damage to target opponent. That is pretty good. You could run this in EDH and it'd be like better, or like Two-Headed Giant, but like, I mean, it's still good. You know, the fact that it comes in with haste, and then if you have 2 more mana, they immediately take 4 on that turn, and then it goes back to them and they take another 2, so they've taken 6 for the price of like however many. I don't know. It doesn't seem that good. Maybe I'm missing something though. Hired Claw. 1, and it's a rare, and it's a 1/2, and it's a lizard mercenary, and it says whenever you attack with 1 or more lizards, Hired Claw deals 1 damage to target opponent. Interesting. So if you have 5 lizards, it deals 5 damage. No. Whenever you attack with 1 or more lizards, it deals 1 damage. So even if you attack with 5, it's only dealing 1. Is that right? Or is it 5 damage? Whenever you attack with 1 or more, Hired Claw deals 1 damage to target opponent. But it doesn't say for each time that it attacks. I'm not sure how the ruling on this works. Put a +1/+1 counter on Hired Claw. Activate only if an opponent lost life this turn, and only once each turn. This card's either very good or very mediocre. I cannot tell if it deals... Like, if you had 5 lizard creature tokens and all of them attack, are they taking 5 plus the additional combat damage? Or are they taking 1 plus the additional 5 combat damage? I don't know. I actually don't know how that works. I'm kind of a noob. Very rusty with my rulings. Might of the Meek. Target creature gains trample and +1 if you control a mouse, draw a card. Fear is unavoidable. You can run from it with your tail between your legs or charge it head on with a sword in hand. I prefer the latter. It's kind of cute. It's like a mouse, you know, fighting a snake. Manifold mouse. Looks like it's a rare, actually. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target mouse you control gains your choice of double strike or trample until the end of turn. That's pretty cool, but also pretty bad. I mean, it also gets offspring, which means that 2 of your creatures are getting double strike, or they can give each other double strike, which is, like, interesting, but also still bad. Kindlespark Duo. It's cute. I like that there's a lot of duos and friends in this one. A lizard and an otter. That's really cute. It deals 1 damage, so this is a pinger. 3-drop for a 1/3 pinger. But it only hits opponents. It doesn't hit... Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, untap it. Yeah... I'd rather just add in 1 blue and have it be the same card, but I can hit any target I want from Ravnica. I forget what that one's called. No... Oh, I forget what it's called. Anyways. Rabid Gnaw. Look at this artwork. Look at this ridiculous artwork. Its teeth, that's ridiculous. Target creature you control gets +1 attack until the end of turn. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's interesting because it doesn't fight the creature. So, like, it's a little bit better than if it fought the creature and it itself took damage in return. So this is kind of more like a kill spell, I think. Unbeknownst to the host, the foraged seeds they serve at dinner had been touched by a calamity beast. The results were disturbing. Interesting. Well, I'm hoping we get to see some calamity beasts, and I'm hoping they're going to be multicolored. Quake Tusk Boar. Reach, trample, and haste for 5. Printed at uncommon. Very strange. Calamity beasts are running through valley, which I guess is like a place, like valley, leaving death and destruction in their wake. I have a plan to stop them. Glarb, ruler of Fountainport. So now we know who Glarb is. He's the ruler of Fountainport. And also we know he's a frog. We've seen him on a blue card. And also we've seen Valley mentioned once on a white card, I think it was. No, a black card? It was a black card, I think. Something. I forget what it was. But it was like the artwork was like the dude was like holding on and above a bunch of bodies. It was like a lizard or something. So that's kind of cool. Playful Shove. Again, friendship duo. Playful Shove deals 1 damage to any target, draw a card. Not at sorcery speed. No. The boisterous pat on the back was painful, but not nearly as painful as the joke that inspired it. No, I'm not playing that card. Roughshod Duo, another friendship duo. A mouse and a raccoon. These two are great. It's a 2. Wow, it's a 3 costing. So 2 of anything, 1 red trampler, and it's a 3/2. That's already really good. That's like properly costed. That's like printed at common too. Means that there'll be enough of these in circulation that this could be draft defining, right? Like if you're running red, you should draft this card. Whenever you expend 4, target creature you control gets +1/+1 against trample until the end of turn. Okay. On guard, you inadequate excuse for a foe. Challenge the mouse. Rarg, gur, garg, agreed the raccoon. Interesting. Reptilian Recruiter. 3 and 2 of any, 3 of anything, 2 red. Lizard Warrior. I like how it has an ant on it. It's like it doesn't mention the ant, but it is there. Trample. When it enters, choose target creature. If that creature's power is 2 or less, or if you control another lizard, gain control of that creature until the end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste until the end of turn. So that's kind of cool that you can mind control a littler creature, which is better than Menace. Or if you control another lizard, if that's creature's power is 2. So either way you get a weak creature, but if you control a lizard, you can take anything until the end of turn. I like that card at 5. I think that's appropriate. I don't think I'd run this card because it doesn't have haste, but it does have trample. It's pretty cool. It's cool. And it doesn't have enough defense to be broken. So it's like, I don't know, it's pretty balanced. Raccoon Rallier. I like the artwork on this a lot. It's a raccoon bard. I like that they just straight up said it's a bard. And it's a 2 for a 2/2 that taps. Target creature you control gains haste until the end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. I used to play for family only until I realized I could inspire an entire party with a single note. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. You know, it's a very common red ability to give things haste, so makes sense. Shazah Cap Brew. The tapped fish meme is back. It's funny because it's a blue fish, always. But it's a red card. So it's an instant speed. So let's see what it does. As an additional cost, discard a card. Ooh, not good. Target player draws 2 cards. Okay, so you can target yourself. Okay. So not horrible. So you basically discard a card and give them a fish and you gain 1 card. But not really. It's still only cycling because you have to spend this card to do it. If the gift was promised, target creature you control gets +2 until the end of turn. So either way you card cycle, or force them to mill, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. This is the type of card that, like, it's not quite powerful enough to make it worth it in EDH, but it'd be funny because you can give other people cards and also gift them fish, and then you can, like, play some shenanigans if they control a permanent you control, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I don't think this card's that good. It's a common, so. Ooh, here we go, a mythic rare. Okay, so this is the cycle one. This is the 5-dropping cycle card. So, okay, let's see what this one does. It either creates 5 treasure tokens, or it can exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you can play them until your next turn, which you can get up to only 2. So it's like exile the top 2 cards of your library at most. So that's actually the top 4 cards of your library that you can then play until your next turn. You may play them, but you have to pay for them. So it's like until the end of your next turn means you do get to untap, which is basically just raw card advantages, but less than if you were to keep them as a card draw. But you're still losing the flashback and the potentiality of the grave shenanigans. I don't know. And then the last one, the ultimate one, is until the end of your next turn, whenever you cast a spell, it deals 2 damage to up to 1 target creature. You know, maybe this creates a lot of advantage, but I just don't see it being that great. Steam Path Charger. I love the artwork. Lizard Warlock. I love everything about this. It has Offspring, Hot-Footed, and Cold-Blooded. That's funny. Whenever this creature dies, it deals damage only to a player. That's not very good. It's just not very good. Take out the trash. I like the name. I like the artwork too. It's just like, whoa, the trash. Take out the trash, deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you control a raccoon, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Yeah. I don't know. I guess red needs the removal, but I don't know. Wow, look at this thing. It's all blurry. Players can't gain life, period. Okay. For 4 and it's a 5/4. This is aggressive. Damage can't be prevented. Okay. When Sunspire Lynx enters, does the can't be prevented, does that get around ward? I'm not really sure mechanically how ward works. If it's prevention or if it's like hexproof till the end of turn. I think it means you can't use ward abilities, which like kind of cool in this set because we did see ward in this set on like 1 card. Whenever this dude enters, it deals damage to each player equal to the number of non-basic lands that player controls. That is punishing. This is a good card overall. This is the type of thing that like you could throw in maybe even a goofy modern deck, but definitely like an EDH deck. This thing's just raw power. This is a good card. I may even play this in like a constructed like format. Like I would play that as like my standard. I may even put this in a standard deck as a 4 of. Just because the 5/4 is so good and lifelink is so prevalent. Maybe as a sideboard card, like maybe. I don't know. Storm Splitter. And this one's oh, I thought it was an uncommon for some reason, but it's not. It's a mythic rare. Okay, so it's got it's a 4-drop for a 1/4 with haste. This better do something really good. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a token that's a copy of this guy. Exile that token at the beginning of your next end step. So, if you have one of them, and you cast Lightning Bolt, then they take 3 damage, and you get another one of these guys. And then if you play a second Lightning Bolt, then they both trigger, I think is how that works, and you have 4 of them. And if you do it again, then you have another 4 of them, and but it says exile that token at the beginning of the next end. Oh, they do have haste. They do have haste. So yeah, I mean, like this card is pretty good. The word storm is in it, which, you know, the ability storm usually looks at and powers up based on the number of spells you've played per turn. So this is the type of thing that, like, if you are playing for board state in a storm deck, this card can be an actual finisher. So I don't really like its cost at 4 for a storm deck, so I'm not really sure how viable it's going to be, you know, in like a modern format or like more like legacy format or whatever they're called. But it is good. It is very interesting. I like this card actually a lot. I really do. It's just so goofy because like it's just like if you're doing a storm deck, then that card is just vicious because it gives you a board state, and normally that's one of the biggest problems. You know, with storm is that you don't have a board state, or you have to hybridize with a different color to build a board state, and the board state becomes fragile and undermined by the fact that you have to hold on to mana in order to be able to facilitate the worth of the storm effect itself. Anyway, Teapot Slinger, Raccoon Warrior, Menace. Whenever you expend 4, it deals 2 damage to an opponent. Okay. For the last time, it's porcelain, not stoneware, you ignorant fool. Ha! That's funny. And he's a teapot slinger. That's so ridiculous. Just the flavor is better than the effect. Valley Flamecaller. Jesus, look at the artwork on this. It's like a raptor. Lizard Warlock. If a lizard, mouse, otter, or raccoon you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 instead. That's decent. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's decent. And then actually there was a quote on it. It says, well, that's another night of research spoiled. And then some lady named Claire, I assume. Batfolk astrologer. A Batfolk astrologer. is butthurt because the Valley Flamecaller brought a bunch of falling debris. It's funny. Valley Rally. Gift a food. So the food again is pay 2, sack, and get 3 life. Not great, but not horrible. And then this is what it says. Creatures you control get +2 until the end of turn. And then they also get first strike if you gift. It's like one of those cards that red needs to have printed in a core set. But like isn't really worth writing home about. Wildfire Howl. 2 red, 1 of anything. Gift a card. So it's card draw advantage to them. And it's sorcery speed. So let's see what this does. So it deals 2 damage to each creature. Okay, so remember how I was saying think about Volcanic Fallout? This is the card that you want to be running as removal. And it should be a sorcery. Volcanic Fallout should have never been an instant. I mean, it had to hose the fairies, but like it shouldn't have been. So this deals 2 damage to each creature. If the gift was promised, it deals 1 damage to any target and 2 damage to each creature. That's kind of good. I don't know. It's like, it's just bad enough to be balanced, but just good enough to be viable. Whisker Squill Scribe. That's a good name. It's a mouse citizen. Unneeded words were like dandelion seeds. Cast adrift at the slightest whiff of scrutiny, only to find purchase and thrive where you least expect. Myrtle, Valley Scribe. Okay. And it's Valiant. So when it becomes a target for the first time, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Yeah. War Squeak. Look at this. Look at this thing. Ridiculous. It's an aura. That's kind of interesting. So let's see. When it enters, target creature and opponent controls can't block this turn. But enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. Honestly, for a 1-drop, that's pretty decent. Like, it's very vulnerable because obviously it's an enchantment aura, but it's still decent. Alright, we'll do these ones next time. Alright, guys, thanks for joining. If you would like to support me on, I don't know really where you could support me. Blah, that's me, oh my god. But yeah, you can donate on Patreon. Wait, what the hell? Yeah, there we go. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, that's really about it. Thanks for joining. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. We'll be back probably pretty soon with green.